Good morning, this is Dr. Turner for Fundamental Math A. Today we're going to be talking about 2.4, which is looking at converting fractions to decimals. Fraction to decimal conversion is perhaps the easiest. If push comes to shove, you could be doing this with a calculator. Obviously, the expectation is that you're using the long division or other techniques to do it. But if you're doing this online, again, behind a blank screen, I'm not going to be able to tell. So keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. So in converting fractions to decimals, the easiest way is division. So let's say I have something like 3/4. Remember, your fraction symbol is just a condensed way of writing the division sign. 3/4 is the same as 3 divided by 4. So if I wanted to convert this to a decimal, I can do 3 divided by 4. That's another common error where if I say 3 divided by 4, if you put the 3 on the outside and the 4 on the inside, you're going to get an entirely different number. So be careful with that. And I'll talk about that in just a second, but let's do this first. So 4 can't go into 3, right? So anytime the number on the outside is bigger than the number on the inside, what I need to do is add a 0 and a decimal place. So now I'm looking for how many times does 4 go into 30? Well, 4 times 7 is 28, so I put a 7 up here. 4 times 7 is 28. Subtract down to get a 2. I'm still not done, so I'm going to do 4 into 2. I need to add another 0, bring it down. Now I'm seeing how many times 4 goes into 20. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 4 times 5 is 20, which gives me a remainder of 0. So my answer would be 0.75. 3.4 as a decimal is 0.75. Now, our goal typically is to get a 0, to get a remainder of 0, but that won't always be the case. Sometimes you're going to get a non-terminating, non-repeating decimal, which we'll see in a second. Now, I mentioned a second ago that it's important that you put the correct number on the inside and outside. So if you need to make a note of that, okay, number on the top, that goes inside. Number on the bottom, that goes outside when you're doing long division, okay? If I had flipped this, and let's say on accident, I put the numbers flipped, 3 going into 4. And I start doing my long division. 1, 3, subtract 1, bring down the 0, 3. Right there should set a red flag because you should know that 3/4, at the very least, it's smaller than 1, right? It's not a whole number. So if I see a 1 up here, that would sort of set a red flag for me that, hey, I may have made a mistake. So that's one way you can tell that maybe you got the numbers mixed up. So just be aware of that. We don't want to flip those numbers, okay? Let's do another example. Let's do 7/8. Just doing some common metric conversions. So I'm doing 7 divided by 8. 8 doesn't go into 7 evenly, so I'm going to add my decimal and my 0. 8 goes into 70. 8 times 8, 64. So 8 times. 8 times 8 is 64. I write that down here and subtract. Gives me 6. So I'll fill in a 0, bring it down. 8 goes into 60. And you can count on your fingers if you need to. That's 7 times. 8 times 7 is 56, which still gives me a remainder. So add another 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. 8 times 5 is 40. Now I have a remainder of 0. So my answer is 0.875. Now, I mentioned that sometimes you're not going to get a remainder of 0. So let's say I have something like 2/3. So when I go to divide 2/3, it's the same setup as always. 2 divided by 3, 2 on the inside, 3 on the outside. And I start out my process, add my decimal, add my 0. You start out, okay, 3 goes into 20 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. 20 minus 18 is 2. Okay, bring down your 0. 3 goes into 26 times. 6 times 3 is 18. Subtract is 2. Okay, do it again. 3 times, bring down your 0. 3 goes into 26 times. 6 times 3 is 18, 2, etc. So once you see that you're getting the same remainder every time, that means that this is going to be a decimal that is non-terminating, non-terminating, but repeating. So we would write this as simply 0. Instead of just doing 6, and you can write it like that, 0.666, or round it to a certain place, 0.67, for instance, or you could write 0.6 bar. Typically in your coursework, your instructor will tell you how they want you to write it. Whatever you're more comfortable with, I'm okay with any of these when you see those non-terminating decimals. Okay, well, that's it for today, guys. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Otherwise, have a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.